Sources within the intelligence community confirmed with Katie Pavlich tonight that JFK and MKUltra materials were indeed taken by the CIA at some point last year. The materials were not taken this week, and there was not a CIA raid on Director of National Intelligence Tulsi Gabbard's office.
The JFK files have always been Washington's locked drawer, the one people keep asking about because every partial release seems to create another shadow. Now, Tulsi Gabbard's declassification push has run into a fresh storm, with lawmakers saying the CIA removed 40 boxes of JFK and MKUltra records from the pipeline before the public could see them. The word raid is being disputed, but the fight over who controlled these boxes is very real. That distinction matters because Washington has a habit of arguing over vocabulary while the public's still asking where the documents went. Drop a comment early and tell us this. Do you think these records are being held back for national security, bureaucratic embarrassment, or something darker? Today, we're going to talk about the missing boxes, the Gabbard angle, the congressional pressure, and why the JFK file saga still refuses to die. The missing boxes.
However, the materials were under DNI Gabbard's jurisdiction. They were taken from the National Reconnaissance Office by people from the CIA during last year's government shutdown. The CIA has not given the materials back, which Gabbard's office was in the process of preparing for declassification in line with an executive order issued by President Trump.
The latest controversy centers on a simple but explosive claim. 40 boxes of records tied to the Kennedy assassination and MKUltra were taken back by the CIA while they were being reviewed for possible release. That claim surfaced through intelligence officials and a congressional hearing, and it immediately lit up the same public nerves that have surrounded the JFK case for more than 60 years. When records vanish from a declassification pipeline, people do not hear paperwork dispute. They hear cover-up. The details are messy. Some lawmakers first described the incident in dramatic terms, as if the CIA had stormed into Gabbard's office and carried the boxes away. Gabbard's office pushed back on that version, saying the CIA did not raid the DNI's office. But that denial does not end the story. The big question is not just whether the word raid was accurate, it's whether the CIA took custody of files that Congress, ODNI, and the public expected to move toward release. Gabbard's fight.
Too often, leaders in this world have our eyes covered by pride born out of our relative power, fame, or authority. We lose sight of the fact that we are tiny and our time on this planet is extremely short.
Tulsi Gabbard's role matters because the DNI is the president's principal intelligence advisor and has broad oversight of the intelligence community, including the CIA. In theory, if the president orders assassination records declassified, the DNI is supposed to help push that process forward. Gabbard had already made the JFK files part of a broader transparency push. Her team was involved in hunting down records, moving material toward the National Archives, and speeding up the release of documents the government had kept hidden for decades. That effort had already produced tension. Earlier reporting described Gabbard's people showing up at a CIA archival facility to get Kennedy, RFK, and MLK assassination records moving. The CIA side viewed the process as sudden and disruptive. Gabbard's side saw it as enforcing a presidential order that had already waited long enough. So when lawmakers heard that boxes had been taken back, they saw it as more than a storage issue. To them, it looked like the same old fight. One office trying to open the files, another office slowing the door. MKUltra Shadow.
Between the years of 1957 and 1984, I became a pawn in a government scheme whose ultimate goal was mind control and to create the perfect spy, all through the use of chemicals, radiation, drugs, hypnosis, electric shock, isolation in tubs of water, sleep deprivation, brainwashing, verbal, physical, emotional, and sexual abuse. I was exploited unwittingly for nearly 3 decades of my life, and the only explanations given to me were that, quote, the end justifies the means, and, quote, I was serving my country in their bold effort to fight communism.
The MKUltra angle gives this story a darker edge. JFK records already come with decades of suspicion, but MKUltra is not just a conspiracy theory. It was a real CIA program involving drugs, psychological pressure, unwitting subjects, and attempts to study human behavior. The program was exposed in the 70s, but many of its records were destroyed before investigators could fully examine them. That single fact has haunted every later discussion. Once a government agency admits a secret program existed, then admits many records disappeared, trust becomes hard to rebuild. It's why the boxes matter. If they include MKUltra files, lawmakers want to know what's actually inside them and why they were still sitting in a sensitive declassification process after all these years. The public does not need wild speculation to find that troubling. The confirmed history is already unsettling enough. The mystery is whether these boxes contain routine leftovers, embarrassing internal paperwork, or material that changes how much the government really preserved. Congress pushes back.
When the digs ceased operations, the CIA also took back 40 boxes of JFK files and MKUltra files being processed for declassification by DNI Gabbard. The legislative and executive branches will continue to be misinformed if this type of behavior is not addressed.
The congressional response was fast. Representative Anna Paulina Luna threatened subpoenas if the records were not returned or explained. Representative Eric Burleson joined the push, and the demand was simple. Congress wanted access. Luna also said lawmakers had received conflicting information about at least some of the boxes. It suggests one office is saying one thing, another office is saying something else, and nobody outside the agencies can verify the answer. The CIA answered with its own frustration. Its spokesperson blasted the hearing as political theater and argued the witness was testifying under subpoena rather than acting as some pure whistleblower crusader. That rebuttal may satisfy some people, but it probably will not satisfy viewers who've watched the JFK files trickle out for decades. Once an agency withholds records about a national trauma, every procedural excuse sounds like another locked door. The release problem.
Sir, we have an executive order ordering the declassification of files relating to the assassinations of President John F. Kennedy, Senator Robert F. Kennedy, and the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.
That's a big one, huh? A lot of people are waiting for this for years, for decades. And everything will be revealed.
The backdrop here is the massive 2025 JFK document release. After President Trump ordered assassination files opened, the National Archives made more than 80,000 pages available, one of the largest single releases of government records in American history. But big releases do not always bring big answers. Researchers found new details about surveillance, intelligence procedures, and Lee Harvey Oswald's movements, yet nothing that overturned the official conclusion that Oswald acted alone. That's part of the strange frustration of the files. Every release is huge in volume, but the most important questions often remain just out of reach. People can read thousands of pages and still wonder what's missing. That's why 40 boxes can overshadow 80,000 pages. The public has learned to ask not only what was released, but what was not. In the JFK story, the missing pages are often louder than the pages placed online. The official process depends on careful handling, chain of custody, and national security review. That sounds reasonable, but after 6 decades of redactions, delays, reversals, and surprise discoveries, patience is not exactly in endless supply. Somewhere in the middle sit 40 boxes that have become the newest symbol of America's longest-running suspicion. Now it's time to hear from you. Do you think the missing boxes are probably routine classified paperwork, or do they contain something the intelligence community still does not want the public to see? Let us know in the comments section below.